up, Spinning Reviews? It's your boys with New Beat Fun. We're here to give you the news, the booze, and the grooves. Have fun out there, man. Peace and love.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Spinner Reviews, and today I'm going to be talking about my time at Warped Tour 2015. Now this is my third year in a row going to this music festival. I wasn't really sure if I was going up until maybe a couple weeks before, just because usually I go through the entire lineup like pretty much as it's coming out. Just because, you know, the undercard to me tends to be a bit more interesting than some of the headliners, which is why there's not going to be, you know, every really big metalcore band on this thing, if you know what I'm getting at. But unfortunately, just because of, I guess, falling behind on reviews and wanting to be more on time with that this year, I just ended up falling behind on keeping up with the Warped Tour lineup too. Even though I wasn't reviewing every single act like I was in the last couple years for some bizarre reason. So I basically went through the whole thing in a rush within like 2 days to sort of catch myself up a couple weeks ago. Got a ticket, couldn't find a friend to go with for some reason, and now, yeah, here we are. So now I'm going to go through each of the acts I saw one by one. Now, a big difference between this year and the first couple years I went is that I want to try to not rush myself to see as many acts as possible that I wanted to see. There were 36 that I put under the favorite bands and artists on the Warped Tour app on my phone, but I made sure to really, for the couple exceptions, only catch like the majority of every band or artist I saw set. Just so I feel like I'm not rushing myself and I only catch like one song from like 3 different bands. I started my day on a pretty appropriately sunny note at 11 a.m. with Candy Hearts. If you like your pop-punx sugary and fun, then there's definitely a lot to like in this band. The frontwoman Mariel sort of described a lot of the origins of the songs in this very likable and cute demeanor, and I don't really feel like a creep using the word cute because that's an actually pretty accurate descriptor for some of their music, and in a non-derogatory kind of way. I know this band kind of gets a lot of crap, looking at the comments of a lot of their videos, criticizing Mariel's vocal abilities and like maybe some of the more basic lyrics, but here's the thing, to me this is really just a result of this epidemic, really, of every female-fronted pop rock or pop punk band of the last decade, basically, being dismissed as a Paramore knockoff. And when you're getting compared to Hayley Williams vocally, it's gonna be a little hard to live up, you know? So I think that it's a good idea to just give them a break in that department. Luckily, after that, there was a bit of a hole in the set list I made on the app, so I decided to go get lunch at that point, while listening to Memphis Mayfire be really loud and generic in the background. I got my lunch and sat at the Kevin Says stage, which is where I was at, and I just happened to catch the set by this band called Baby Baby, who, I don't know, I just can't really get into them. I mean, they're decently entertaining, I suppose, but I don't know, maybe their quirkiness is a bit aggressive for me, but it's just not my kind of thing, I guess. Then on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, I decided to catch Aaron West and the Roaring Twenties. Now, I made sure to see at least one acoustic basement show this year. For those of you who don't know, this is the side project of Dan, aka Soupy, from the Wonder Years. I haven't really gotten around to the album they this project put out last year, which I kind of regret now. Pretty impressive how, even in the live setting, Dan sort of took on this identity as Aaron West and sort of described the origins behind a lot of these songs and like the backgrounds, and like it seems like he really set up this world behind this character, and it's something that I really want to delve into. I might have to give that album a listen sometime, but you can tell that people are really connected. Like they were singing along with the choruses of some of the songs, and in the case of his song Divorce in the American South, they even sang along with the trumpet solo at the end of the song, which was both hilarious and kind of amazing. This is a really interesting thing to see, and I can't wait to get more into this project. Next up after that was Lee Corey Oswald, a pretty solid alt-rock band. There's not really much to say, honestly. There's a lot of Weezer influence in this band, which is obviously definitely a plus for me, especially since they start off with a cover of My Name is Jonas. And there's surprisingly some really awesome guitar solos from the frontman of this band. I mean, it's not like I don't expect musicianship from bands like this, but the level of it was really impressive. So yeah, check these guys out. From there I decided to see 68, who some of you guys might remember from my Stick to Your Guns concert review from back in March. For this year, I just didn't really want to see all that many artists that I'd already seen before, but 68 was a definite exception, just because of how refreshingly spontaneous this band is. I haven't gotten around to the album they put out last year, but I've really gotten into them just from their live shows alone. They're a two-piece garage rock band. They just go all over the place. I even talked to Josh, the vocalist and guitarist from the band, and he basically said that, yeah, we go with no set list, and you can definitely tell they just go into these crazy tangents with their songs. Even though their songs are like 3 minutes long, they push them into these like 6-minute jams to go into all kinds of places. It's just a ton of fun to watch. There's a real sense of humor to their show too, and like the stuff that Josh says between the songs and stuff. And yeah, if this band is playing in your area, they're a blast to watch live. Before and after them, I actually managed to catch a few songs from Set It Off, which was pretty cool. I mean, I'm not really a huge fan of them. I find a couple of their songs a little obnoxious, but songs like Ancient History and especially Why Worry, I am a pretty big fan of. Now, Cody's voice did sound a little bit off at times, but you know, I'm sure it's just something that comes with being this far into the tour. There's only like a few dates left at this point, so you know, you're gonna have an off show every now and then. And on that note, actually, something that I meant to say at the beginning of this, a lot of the bands didn't really talk a lot during their sets. It felt kind of autopilot, I suppose. But again, it's something that I can forgive for a 3-month tour where you're playing every single day in the heat, you know? I guess I'm just a little spoiled because the previous 2 years I went, San Diego was in the first few days. But, what can you do? Of course, a Warped Tour experience isn't complete without seeing at least one crappy generic metalcore band. And this year that came in the form of I Killed the Prom Queen, probably the one with the worst name out there. I was pretty much forced to watch them since I was waiting in this huge line to get some cold drinks. And yeah, it was pretty terrible. Their setlist was on setlist.fm, and even then I couldn't tell you what song they were playing in this clip. So sorry, can't really recommend them for more than one reason in this case. Moving on to something significantly more interesting, it seems like every year on Warped Tour that I've gone, there's been some really interesting hip-hop and rock fusion group, whether it be Red Gold Green in 2013 or Air Dubai last year. This year, it's Isles. And I can really see this band getting big, especially with the song Home Again. And the song Here, Paradise. They have a really accessible sound, but at the same time it's also very unique and creative with the dynamics of the instrumentation, with the rapping and the singing. The rapper actually has some really impressive technical skill. You'd think that a group like this would come off a little gimmicky, but again, they pull it off pretty well. Also, I gotta mention the cover of Habits. Check them out. Another band that I really want to see get more popular. Next up was Have Mercy, a band that really sticks out to me as far as these quote-unquote emo revival bands go. Even though I haven't gotten the chance to listen to one of their albums in full, all the songs I've heard have really stood out as memorable to me, whether it be Let's Talk About Your Hair or or especially 2 Years. I will say that the singer of the band, occasionally he would go into this kind of inflection. It just sounded kind of weird to me, especially since he doesn't sound like that in the studio recordings. Still, it wasn't really that distracting. They still put on a really good show, and yeah. Moving on. After that, I saw Damn Pole double duty in the Wonder Years. It's kind of cool seeing him in this like low, intimate setting and then just bursting with energy a few hours later. It takes a real skill to have a range like that as an artist. Really showed in their set, with me seeing them twice now, why they're one of the few bands that can pull off this modern, really wordy pop-punk style. I definitely plan on covering their next album, especially after hearing that song Cigarettes and Saints. There really isn't much to say. I mean, the Wonder Years are a really well-known band. You probably know how their live show would have gone. It was great. Moving on. After that, I saw a band called Beautiful Bodies. Not really too much to say. When I listened to them before going into this, like, okay, this is pretty solid female-fronted hard rock. Pretty entertaining, even though I ended up spending most of the time waiting in line next to that at the water refilling station. But from what I was seeing, good show. I will say that the song Capture and Release, even though it's a really good song, you can kind of tell that Epitaph is like trying to make them their answer to PVRIS, I guess, because there is just such a resemblance there. And I don't know, maybe going back to Candy Hearts, I'm just kind of a misogynist for comparing female-fronted bands to each other, but I don't know, that's just my theory. Right after that, I decided to see RiFF, because how could I not? And it was weirdly underwhelming. Like, the DJ came out for like the first 5 minutes and started playing these really bad remixes of like Smells Like Teen Spirit and just like other generic like EDM style like stuff. When RiFF came out, it's like he played his songs, but it's like there wasn't really anything too crazy going on. Like, I mean, I like that song Kokayne. I like that he did part of that, but then just went straight into Wetter Than Tsunami. I was surprised that this wasn't a more eventful set, but it just, I don't know, it kind of disappointed me. But from there we move on to one of my favorite new finds on this lineup, Born Cages. Now, this is just some great 80s inspired pop rock. Now, I'm not really going to say much in this video on them, just because I picked up their album, which came out a couple months ago, and I plan on covering them here in one way or another, whether it be through a part in Underground Corner or an interview, we'll see. But yeah, another recommendation for a band that should be way bigger than they are. Seriously, the fact that Don't Look Back hasn't been a crossover hit is just baffling. From there, I went to the complete opposite side of the spectrum and saw Svetlanas. What? An actual full-fledged punk band in 2015 Warped Tour? Yeah, this band was banned from Russia for their very political lyrics. They're not exactly subtle about it if you pay close attention, even if you don't pay close attention, actually. And this footage is actually not that representative of the set. Most of it afterwards, the vocalist was just in all of our faces for the whole time for the last few songs, and it was just intense, for lack of a better term, but kind of awesome at the same time. Yeah, a nice little departure there. And switching from something a bit less harsh, I saw New Beat Fund. You guys might remember I reviewed their album a couple months ago, and this was definitely a must-see set, but even though I did see them on the 2013 tour, the fact they had a full-length album out and had more tracks to choose from, I was pretty interested in seeing them, and they didn't disappoint. It was just a ton of fun. Just everything about the band in general and all their songs is really infectious. I actually talked to them for quite a bit, as you could probably guess from the intro of this video. Thanks for that, by the way, guys. And yeah, they saw the review, they really like it, and yeah, they're really cool guys. Oh, and I also gotta give a big shout out to their cover of a true modern pop classic.
pictures is the only thing that I like. You ain't got no light. Cups with the ice into this every night.
Transitioning from my hipsterdom to the actual people you came here to see me talk about, I saw PVRIS after that. Not really much to say, solid performance. I really like the singles they have gotten big with, you know, My House, St. Patrick, and Holy has grown on me, even though it's not really one of the bigger singles they've dropped. I haven't really listened to their album. I heard it was kinda aside from the singles, but I still plan on getting around to it at some point, especially whenever they get around to dropping the one after that. From there I saw While She Sleeps, another band I've covered on this channel earlier this year, and I'm glad I got to saw at least one really good metalcore band, because I could not have said that about last year. I saw Ice Nine Kills, and no. Anyway, this band was definitely a high priority to see, and they didn't disappoint again. The guitarist actually played in the circle pit for a couple of the songs, which was really cool. I will say though that the band, especially the vocalist Laws, did seem kind of exasperated with the audience. He kind of kept berating the audience about not going hard enough, and like, we traveled thousands of miles from the UK to come here. That's probably a terrible accent. But either way, it was still a really great show, and I even caught a pic after the last song, so that probably makes it all worth it, right? Then, despite seeing them last year, I made sure to catch Neck Deep, another pretty big name in the whole Warped Tour scene, I guess. Again, solid set, not really much to say. Can't Kick Up the Roots has definitely grown on me after a few listens. I left when they started to play a part of me. Ooh, we're getting close to the end here, folks. After that, I saw Crossfade, whose music has also grown on me over the last couple years. I saw them, they were pretty much the last band I saw during the 2013 date I went to, and I couldn't stand them then. I guess just because the whole metalcore, hardcore thing was something I was still dipping my toe into, and I still am to an extent. They're a Japanese sort of electronically infused metalcore band that I think actually pulls it off pretty well, despite being a little bit obnoxious at times, especially with songs like Jaeger Bomb. But I heard this band was really great live, and yeah, they do have a lot of energy. Definitely, there's no questioning that, especially the electronics and samples guy who's just going insane the whole time, like crowd surfing and like hopping on his tables and everything. But really, they just command the crowd so much. It's kind of annoying after a while, like when 5 times in every song the singer is just begging the audience to bounce, bounce. Like, look, dude, I've been out here for over 6 hours. I'm tired. Shut up. But yeah, I really hope to listen to their next album and probably cover it on this channel. And I decided to end my Warped Tour 2015 on a pretty underground note, actually. It's actually the first time that I've enjoyed the last band I saw on the Warped Tour day. The first year, it was Crossfade when I couldn't stand them. Second year, it was Get Scared. This year, False Puppet, a relatively unknown indie rock band that I really got into when I was going through the lineup. I picked up their album, and just like with Born Cages, I'm probably going to be talking about their album. For now, I'll just say I really like their single Elliot, and they did a great cover of Talking Heads' Psycho Killer that in retrospect I probably should have recorded a clip of, but what can you do? And yeah, that was my Warped Tour this year. If you guys went this year, what are your experiences? Did you see some of the same artists I did? Did they do anything different? Is there anything that you think I missed? Any artists that you hate the fact I didn't see? And that's about it. You can expect a Boys of Summer concert review vlog thing in about a day or two, because I'm actually recording this the day after I went to that, and hopefully you'll see in the next episode of Spin It Reviews.